Hello and welcome to What Culture Horror with myself, Andrew Ballard. I hope you're well, I hope you're good, and I hope your week is going as well as it possibly can do. If not, I really do hope the week turns around ASAP for you. Right, kicking things off today, there's the news that a third Orphan movie is on the way from Lionsgate. While no plot details are known at this time, it has already been confirmed that Isabelle Fuhrman will be back in her Esther role. Well, Lena, I guess you'd call her, from the first two Orphan movies. Now, added to that, Orphan First Kill writer David Cogswell is another returning to the fold, while First Kill's William Brent Bell will be directing again. Bell also directed horror offerings such as the Boy movies, The Devil Inside, last year's Lord and Misrule, and 2006's All Kinds of Daft Fun, but all kinds of entertaining Stay Alive. That'd be the Frankie Muniz picture where if you die in a video game, then you die in real life. I get a kick out of that film, man. It gets slated a lot, but there's a lot to enjoy with that one. Of course, the first Orphan movie back in 2009, that had the shocking revelation, a revelation that has been done to death on this channel and in various What Culture Horror lists, I will admit and throw my hands up to that, but that shocking revelation that Esther, the 9-year-old girl adopted by a family, was really a 33-year-old psychopath with a hormonal disorder and stunted growth as a result of that hormonal disorder. As for Orphan First Kill, that released in 2022 and was a prequel that used trickery to have the now very adult Isabelle Fuhrman playing the young Esther again, this time as Esther breaks out of a mental institute and again goes on her murderous path. Moving away from Orphan 3, another film getting a sequel, and this put such a huge smile on this face when I heard the news that yes, Black Sheep is getting a sequel. For those who maybe aren't that familiar with Black Sheep, it's a New Zealand horror comedy released in 2006. I don't know, maybe I'm biased because I'm a Welshman and we love our sheep, but the basic premise of Black Sheep involves some genetically modified sheep that are essentially zombies. And this one is just all kinds of fun. Now, per Deadline, writer-director Jonathan King is back in the fold, as is Nathan Meister, who played Harry Oldfield in that first movie. In terms of plot for Black Teeth, I mean, the sheep do have black teeth as well. But in terms of plot for Black Sheep 2, the film follows a young scientist who is convinced that a dangerous new pathogen threatens the population and tracks it back to her hometown, which is located in the shadow of the remote sheep station where the macabre events of the original Black Sheep unfolded. Also put a huge smile on my face is news that Weta Workshop will once again be involved with special effects for the film. Now, Weta, they've just done such a phenomenal job on that movie, not to mention, having done the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Hobbit films, Blade Runner 2049, Dune, King Kong, Alien Romulus, The Chronicles of Narnia, Hellboy, Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy, Avatar, and just so much more. Seriously, the folks at Weta are just the best, forever doing such incredible work. And from the guys and gals I've had the pleasure of meeting over the years, just totally lovely people, man. So production on Black Sheep 2 is expected to start next spring, which would suggest the release in the first half of 2026 for me, but that's just me totally spitballing. Now, sticking with the animal theme, and Hungry has been announced for the American film market this week, seemingly inspired by Hungry Hippos. Yes, Hungry Hippos, the little gimmick, the do-do-do-do-do. Anyway, Hungry is, you guessed it, about a hippo on the rampage who gets lost in the Louisiana swamps and has some holidaymakers in its sights. James Nunn is on writing and directing duties here, with Nunn having directed 2022's Shark Bait, which I absolutely love shark movies, man. It's like one of my slashers, shark movies. They're my two massive things in horror. I've seen as many shark movies as you could probably think of and name. And Shark Bait, it was decent enough. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't awful. It was okay. It was okay. And now Nunn also helmed the two Scott Adkins-fronted one-shot films. Has the distinct honour of directing the 5th and 6th Marine films. So clearly he's a big fan of The Miz, because The Miz from WWE takes centre stage in those two. I believe it's Shawn Michaels and Becky Lynch with Miz in the Marine 6, and then Marine 5 has a whole bunch of people in there like Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, Naomi, and Heath Slater, maybe. He's got kids, man. Anyway, expect to hear a lot more on Hungry as we get it, as news becomes available. But it's worth noting the film is already in production at the time of this recording. So one final news story, and it's away from movies, and it's down to video games. Yes, there's some interesting rumours, I guess you would call it. Well, not rumours. There's some interesting news about the upcoming Resident Evil 9 video game. Now, it's worth noting that these details have yet to be confirmed, of course, by Capcom or anybody official, but they come from Andy at Biohazard Declassified, a pretty reliable source, who the apparent leaks here come from a game tester who's played an early build of Resi 9. So this, again, take it with a pinch of salt, but it sounds all kinds of interesting to me if it is true. But yeah, the game will take place 4 years after the events of Resident Evil Village. Jill Valentine and Leon S. Kennedy will be the 2 main characters. Oh man, I'm still not happy with how dirty Leon was done in Welcome to Raccoon City. It still pains me, man. Anyway, Jill and Leon are going to be the 2 main characters here. Chris Redfield and Barry Burton will have supporting roles through radio calls. Jill and Leon will become infected and suffer hallucinations, with someone talking to Leon throughout the game, while Jill is hunted by what's known as the Goat Man. Yes, Goat Man. Anyway, the main villain of the game is a new character called Mr. Simon, who supervises the mass production of bioweapons, because of course he does. And Blue Umbrella will be back as the good guys of the game. Locations will include an abandoned hospital, deserted houses, caves, labs, forests, and a temple. Now, appearance-wise, Jill will supposedly look similar to the Lost in Nightmares DLC, while Leon will appear similar to Resident Evil Damnation, with Leon said to have a more grizzled, older look this time out. Again, this is far from being confirmed from Capcom or anyone officially involved with Resident Evil 9, so as always, take it with a pinch of salt, but this certainly makes some interesting rumblings for Resi 9 anyway, a game that has very much got my attention, as I'm sure it has a lot of you out there as well. Now, just before I wrap things up, finally, just a couple of shout-outs really to some decent little movies I checked out this week, just in case you're looking for something to watch this weekend. Firstly, You'll Never Find Me, which is just a really atmospheric, tense Australian picture that's on Shudder at the moment. Basically, you've got a reclusive middle-aged man's door that's knocked on in the middle of the night by a woman seeking shelter from a massive storm. But then there's kind of questions on both sides, like, how did you get here? And then also, can the homeowner be trusted? Because he's a little bit shady. And it's kind of like a cat and mouse, who will blink first kind of scenario. You kind of wait that which one of these is really telling the truth, which one of these is maybe a bit of a wrong'un. But yeah, it's definitely worth tracking down. Also, I've recently discovered Tubi. Yes, it's just like an app that's been on my PlayStation for ages, and I'm like, I'll give this a go and see what all the crack is about. Man, it's the best. I'm having a blast with Tubi because I'll just have it on in the background throughout the day, just going through random horror movies, most of which are extremely low budget. Some, yes, are not great. But then there's those other ones in there that end up being pleasant surprises, where it's literally just go from one film to another, most of which you never heard of. And there's some great little treasures on there. On that front, Killer Body Count is one that I've had a lot of fun with this week. Now, this film came out earlier this year, I believe May, centers around a rather unique camp that concerned parents send their teenage kids to. Essentially, it's overly concerned, slightly overly religious parents who are worried that their kids are turning into sex addicts. And as for the camp they've been sent to, there just so happens to be a masked killer stalking those teens. It's a lot of fun, man. I've probably not done justice to the premise. It's a really cool little movie. And that is it for today's news video. I have been Andrew Ballard. This has been What Culture Horror. Have a great rest of your week and weekend, and I'll be back on Monday.